Well, hey, welcome back. How's everybody doing today? Hunkering down day 9,999,000. But we've got lots of great things to share with you. Here, we got the fifth episode now of the Lincoln Real Estate Coronavirus Market, Denver Housing Market Update coming your way. All sorts of changes even since yesterday. We kind of got a little bit of a smoke signal that showings might open up next week. We'll be talking about that. Gas prices are at way low, record low prices. We've got a pending surge we're looking at. So lots of things on today's episode. So stay tuned. We'll have a lot of insights for you on that respect. We'll take a look at the numbers again to see what's been happening to the market as we go through this whole coronavirus thing. So we'll be having that. We'll be having a lot of different topics of things that are changing in financing and within the housing industry. A little bit of hope for everybody. So just for those of you who are tuning in live, this feed is going out 6 different places. If you comment on the feed that's coming from the Lincoln Real Estate Group livecast page, we will see that immediately. If you're searching from or looking at it on either of Jen's pages, Ann's pages, or Pam's pages, or my pages, we'll be monitoring those, but it's not instant that we see them. So, but we will get back to them. If we don't hit you this episode, we'll respond either via comments or something. So, with that, let's bring in our all-star panel. It's all bright and cheery and ready to go here on Tuesday the 21st, and we got up there in the left, Jen Erzinger, our superstar Lincoln Real Estate broker owner, and to her, I guess it's to the right on the screen, is Pam Wandry from Columbine Mortgage, our lending and financing expert, and then down there next to me is Ann Schabacher, A-team broker associate with Lincoln, and then there's me in the corner, another one of. I guess you could say one of the top agents, at Lincoln Real Estate, but I'm bottom right. I'm the bottom right agent of Lincoln Real Estate. So, I'll take what I can get. So, at any rate, how's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Good. Sun shining.
Yeah.
Good day.
Well, I thought I'd just poll the group here. So, what's kind of new and happening on your end, Jen?
Well, we're really excited about some of our phase 1 rollouts that Colorado's going to be starting. So that's making me the happiest, is getting back to work. And I've limited my banana bread intake, so that's big news.
Banana bread consumption is down. Right. It's down. Well, we got to get that on the graph. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got to leave the house soon, and out of sweatpants. So.
Yeah, right. So Pam, what's been interesting and happening to you this week? I know we're going to go into more detail a little bit, but what's been going on in lending world on your end?
Still busy. Just reaching out to people, working with clients who are still interested in refinances. There's still people being pre-qualified for purchases. Here personally in our house, we're still blazing through all of our Easter candy. I've got to figure out how I'm going to fit into my pants when I have to leave the house again.
And just for the audience, everybody on the show today is wearing pants.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Everybody's wearing pants. Yeah.
We should take a poll of our audience to see.
Yeah, and how about you,
Never
Ann?
mind.
What's new and interesting for you this last week?
It's a little bit of the same old, but I've enjoyed reaching out to all of my clients and just kind of touching base and seeing what's happening. And everybody, for the most part, is doing pretty good. Just sort of plugging through this and getting through, and that's good to know because nobody's upside down yet, and that's always a good thing.
That's always a good thing. Well, yeah, that brings up, I've had several conversations with my people, and there was it would come up that, you know what, we're waiting for this big foreclosure bust and all this stuff to happen, and I was having to tell them, I said, well, look, most of these people, if they're in trouble, they can either sell their house or they can get a forbearance, and so I don't, again, all the experts and everything are saying we don't expect to see anything like that. But yeah, so we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But well, very good. So I guess we're up to the weekend update with Jen Erzinger here to see the activity of the weekend. For our audience, we kind of look at in these we're looking in smaller chunks, like what happened this last weekend. Then we look at a 7-day running thing to see kind of what the trends are, and then as we get data in, when we can get from the MLS, it's like on its monthly basis. So. But as far as I could tell, at least on the last check, I haven't seen really any impact on values or anything. But we'll probably broach that next week once we have the data in. But at any rate, so what do you think, Jen? What happened?
Well, yeah, our actives across the board are still staying pretty steady. So we have total actives, Denver Metro at 5239. And then the weekend snapshot, we sort of consider a Thursday through Monday look. New listings, we had 425 come up. We had 467 of those still go under contract. We closed 581 units and only 136 withdrew. So again, another bizarrely strong weekend we had, all things considered.
Well, yeah. And I think, which is a good sign, we'll see in a second.
Absolutely.
I mean, the real estate market is still, despite all of the roadblocks being put in front of it, housing was still cruising along, and working things out. So that's very, very, very promising, and the fact that, things are going to be opening up again, I'm like, whew.
Yeah, and that's going to be, next week is going to be a really good, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after.
Right.
We're cautiously optimistic that we truly are going to start showing in limited capacity. We have to make very good or very heavy precautions, but in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be a good indicator as to how much pent-up demand we think we have, and just to see, I'm excited. I'm excited to get back outside.
Yeah, right. So, yeah.
As you all know very well.
Yeah. Well, for those of us just watching, we're in our TV outfits now, which brings up a general comment. Now that we're using Skype and Zoom more, I have to keep a Skype and Zoom wardrobe off to the right of the office because I got caught in my home quarantine or shelter in place outfit, and I'm like, oh, maybe don't want to be doing that for a good first impression. Yeah, so, but no, that's good. Well, let's take a look at the 7-day thing we've been tracking here. And for those of you coming in, we've been or just watching for the first time, we're taking a look at we're tracking the market since we started with the shelter in place ruling back on March 26th, and then right here, this red dot has to do with when we got the affirmative real estate agents can't be showing homes. But as we expected, the trend line is still going down. What we're looking at here on the blue is properties that have gone under contract. And so while it did trend down, which would be understandable, we're still sort of around fall levels. So we didn't see a whole lot of, not nearly the fall off the cliff impact that we were sort of expecting when they said it couldn't do anything. And the green line here is tracking the new listings coming on. Now, this isn't the total listings on the market, but it just shows us, okay, here's what's coming on the market. Here's what's going under contract on the market. As you can see, we've got more things going under contract than are actually going on the market. So there's still some pressure. There's still tight inventory that we're dealing with. And then down here, we're tracking this little line here that I got numbers on, is looking at the wave of price decreases. So as you saw it go up here, there were more properties that were lowering their prices. But then as we get down here, it's sort of leveled off. So people aren't having to drop their asking price as much. But pretty telling, and this little gray line, I don't know if you can see it, but the amount of closings are still, still up there. So let me get back to the panel here. So that's kind of the way things are looking there. At any rate, what are your thoughts, gang?
All encouraging. Go ahead.
I was reading an article out of France, and they're set to reopen on May 11th, and they're talking about their online lead generation and virtual showings and all of that back to almost regular levels, minus about 3 to 5%. I mean, that's kind of showing what we're going to potentially be looking at once we get, more full opening and also more of the loan programs coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
My conventional buyers are ready to go. They're excited. I do have a couple of FHA and a VA buyer floating that might take a little bit before we can, but we don't know. We don't know the answer to that question, how quickly they're going to loosen up some of those overlays. And maybe Pam can talk to that if she's heard any news. But my people are ready to go.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's a lot of us sitting on buyers that are just chomping at the bit.
Well, because there was some uncertainty, and then I know that some people still are just not comfortable with, like, I've got to buy something I haven't seen yet, and as we were talking, I don't think that dynamic will ever change. We can, although you're working on, Jen, aren't you working on a 3D? You got something in the works with like 3D virtual tours. Did you want to? Or is that still top secret?
Our intern is working on that for us. So my son, who's getting ready to graduate from college with a business admin and entrepreneurial degree, they had to revamp how they did their finals. So he's going to be helping us with learning a couple of these programs that I've frankly just been too lazy to learn about. So we hired a intern to do that for us. So we'll be doing a presentation next week. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, and I think it's going to be...
He gets to graduate. That's his payment.
I think it's one of those things that will probably be the new paradigm shift. I know that's an old 80s word. It's okay, so I'm old. But it's like, okay, the 3D walkthrough and stuff is going to be par for the course, where it's been a little bit of a nicety before, but we were still able to go see properties. But I think as those get better, the problem has been in the past is they have to shoot them so wide that you don't really have any perspective, and you'll see something in 3D and you'll think, oh, this is perfect, and you get in there and it's the size of a saltine box. It's like, okay, well, I'll have to saw the sofa in half, and stuff. But that technology's getting better, and so looking forward to seeing some of that stuff.
My favorite phrase is the photographer did their job. When buyers are like, oh, it's so small in here. And I'm like, they did their job.
Well, and that's the whole thing, man. And for those who are just tuning in, part of marketing the property, man, is putting eye candy up there so that you'll come look at it.
Exactly.
And so there's oftentimes that photographer did a great job, and it's like, oh yeah, well, what's this? We've got a big, 30-foot hole in the backyard that they just excavated, But
and I hope we don't have a real good way of monitoring this ourselves with the stats we get, but I hope we have a better understanding of what's actually coming back on. Those that go under contract with potentially a 48-hour contingency, they go see it, they go, oh, wow, they had that well.
Yeah.
And those come back up. We don't have a great way of tracking that. Hopefully we will be getting those numbers.
Yeah.
From RICO or some other authority.
Yeah, well, and it will be interesting to see, sir. I wonder how many. Well, I'm sure there's just as many people on the listing side that were kind of waiting to go on until they figure some of this stuff out. So we're gonna have a real. We should see soon. Again, we're still in the tail end of shelter in place before we go to living safely at home, whatever it's called.
Safer.
We're safer at home. Safer at home. Although you haven't been to my house on some days. When my dog gets into his mood, man, at any rate. Okay.
He's ready for sleep.
So, before we wrap up on the housing side and cut to Pam, I thought we'd pull Ann and Jen and say, what kind of things are you telling your sellers or buyers as we're still in this like tail end thing? We'll start with Ann.
I'm just, if they're selling and they're nervous and they want to wait, that's fine. If they want to get going, I think it's still a great time to sell. It's a little bit different, obviously, with the virtual showings. However, that should hopefully change next week. What that exactly looks like at the moment, I'm not sure we have all of that precise information. But as far as the buyers, I mean, if you want to buy and your loan program is basically still available at the moment, buy. Yeah. 60% of your competition's out of the market at the moment. Now is the perfect time. We're not going to be seeing huge price decreases, and you might not see, 10 offers. You might see 2 or 3 and potentially only yours. So as far as buyers, if you want to go. Now's the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Jen?
My conversation is different based on the sales side. It depends on who our target buyer is.
Right.
I have a couple of townhomes. The numbers I ran in the last 6 months, it's been half VA, FHA, and half conventional. Mm-hmm. So I think we're probably going to need to wait, maybe a little bit, not a long time. Just, because we want to get an entire buyer pool back, and they're not anxious. If you're not anxious to sell. If we fit in that conventional box and we think our buyer is going to be conventional, absolutely, it's a great time. We have not seen the price slides none of us predicted that. So I think that's coming true. I'm glad that was a good prediction, and we were fact-based on that. And then on the buy side, just what Ann said, I mean, depending on if your program is still available, it's a fabulous time when we can get back out there. It's time to go. So it might not be quite so competitive, but it might be. Now, if you're a buyer waiting in the wings thinking our market's going to crash and you're going to get a hell of a deal, I would really caution against that feeling.
Right. You'll watch the boat pulling away from the dock,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's, reality is not playing that out.
Yeah.
And we have homeowners, 40% of the homeowners own their home free and clear.
Yeah, right.
They don't have to sell. The other 50% of them have over 50% loan to value. Right. Which means they've got 50% equity in their homes. We're not going to be looking at any kind of foreclosure market or anything like we looked at in 2008.
Well, yeah, because there's equity with the inventory shortage. I mean, that's nationwide. I mean, they can sell them before the thing can go into foreclosure. Yes. I mean, that's kind of the thing with that. Yeah, and that's kind of we're in same page with that. I basically, like Brian Buffini said, I've been kind of telling people, it's like, if you're thinking about buying, if you can, you should. Just looking at what we're doing and the reports of the thing, the surge in the wings, so to speak. They'll be coming in once it goes online. They'll be like, okay, well this isn't changing. There's still going to be pressure on. We're still 1 million units a year short. And the builders can't build those, and so
and the builders are tightening up again, as they should be right now. Mm-hmm. So what's that going to leave us again? It's going to put us even further behind.
Right.
And depending on the economists that you listen to or talk to, we're either looking at that V or even a W. Mm-hmm. But regardless if it becomes a W or a V, it's still up. It's not going to be this big dive.
Right.
Especially since states are loosening up their shelter in places, and agents like us are given the ability to work under strict protocol. We're not going to go out there and be dangerous or anything like that, but I think that's really going to help.
Yeah. So Pam, over there in financing land, up in the financing quadrant, upper right-hand part of the screen, what are you telling your people, and what's been happening over in lender land?
It's a very similar line of what you guys have been talking with. I mean, obviously, I have the refinance side going as well, which is very strong right now. Rates are they're coming back, settling back down. Obviously there's the loan programs that are not available right now, like the jumbos and the high balance. If they are available, they're, have some big discount fees associated with them, or just being suspended altogether. But those conventional loans that are there, and for the VA and FHA that people qualify for, the rates are, they're in a good zone right now. I looked at Freddie Mac this morning, 3.31% with 0.7 in fees or points. So that's great.
Not bad.
FHA was around I wrote it down, 3.375 this morning, and VA was 3.5. So those are, and I mean, for a pretty standard loan for those. So that's great news for people. Obviously, overlays are a moving target right now. So if you qualify right now, just before you actually go under contract, if you're looking to buy, just have your lender double check to make sure nothing has changed on the overlays for the lenders, that you still qualify.
Well, yeah, that's a big thing. If you're in the midst of, you're an agent and you're doing a contract or, working with your buyers, you better be on the horn.
Yeah, be in touch with your lender. Make sure nothing's changed. But as for clients, I'm saying, let's get you lined up, ready to go. Let's, have the loan application filled out as much as we can. Let's pull credit. Let's have all the documents reviewed so that when a rate opens up that's an opportunity that makes sense to refinance, we can jump. Or if you find the dream home and, oh my goodness, you're the only one that, has put an offer in and it's going to be yours, let's lock. Be ready to go. That's kind of the strategy. And these are happening all the time right now. Like, people are, getting pre-qualified, getting ready to move into a refinance, just waiting for the opportunity to open up.
Well, and that is so smart.
Windows are small.
Yeah, that is so smart. Being hovering so that you can go in and land if you need, And I think we're all on the real estate side. That's what we're telling our people. It's like, touch base, get pre-approved. Let's start getting your things together so that we're prepared. And it really is a better way to go. But I thought I'm going to sneak something in off script here, guys, because this is probably good, what we were just talking about. So this is
Windows are small.
mortgage brokers trying to keep up with the COVID-19 overlays for 50 plus lenders. And so why we need everybody to, agents and their mortgage lenders be talking to each other is because that stuff's changing daily. So yeah.
Pam, at what point can a borrower feel confident that this is the program they're getting with no additional? Is it when you lock? Is it when it's out of under?
When you lock.
Okay, so when you lock, you're grandfathered in.
For the most part, I do have to say, some of those poor people that were locked and already in process for some jumbo loans, those loans were removed.
Right.
They lost those loans.
Yeah, true.
So I mean, and lenders have that right to discontinue. I mean,
right.
If they're not, so that is the potential, but for the most part, if you lock, you're set, and for the overlays that are there already when you lock. If you qualified when you locked, generally you should be okay.
Right.
I wanted to go back to the question Ann had about where those overlays are going to go. Right now, there's no way to know when those are going to fall away, particularly for like VA and FHA and things like that. I think there's going to be some lag. I don't think as soon as all the stay-at-homes are off, that the lenders are going to be like, okay, everything's gone back to normal. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it'll be a lag. They're going to want to make sure that the economy's, stabilized a little bit, that the rates and the, the servicers and they're able to sell the loans. It's going to take some time. So
and it will also have a lot to do with employment too. Once we start getting people back to work, and maybe the forbearances begin to stop, that we'll see some of that kind of loosen up.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the? Do you guys have an idea where the forbearances are right now?
The latest stats from April 12th was that we are at 5.95. I have this written down too. Let me go through my notes. Sorry, people. Total loans that went into forbearance. Percent of loans that went into forbearance. That's about 3 million loans. So I think that's a little past
5.95%.
Yeah, the total amount of loans out there.
Yeah, close to just pushing 6% of the
and that's
total loans.
Past what Calabria kind of estimated would happen. He said closer to 3.5. So I think we're kind of seeing what true numbers are going to be, that there are a lot of people out there that have more than expected, I guess, from the FHFA, as how many people were requesting this. In regards to the forbearance, we talked a lot in the last few episodes of, to not do it if you don't truly need it, what those impacts can be. One of the big questions was, how is that going to affect your credit? The CARES Act basically makes it so that you're not supposed to have any negative credit impact if you do go into forbearance due to COVID. And that's all you have to say when you ask for forbearance is, I'm being affected by COVID, and they're supposed to give you
that's good
this
news. Forbearance.
Now, if you're already having troubles and you're already delayed or missed a payment, and then you go into forbearance, they can continue to report those lates. But if you're up to date or current when you go into forbearance, then supposedly you're supposed to have no credit impact.
Well, and I think
now we'll have to see.
Yeah, and for those who may end up losing their business or their job or stuff, if they got into forbearance, it actually buys them a little bit of time to kind of get house ready, and if they have to sell or whatever they've got to do. So, but that's good. But you've got to be current on. You got to be current on your payments to get forbearance to not impact you.
To not impact your credit, correct.
Right.
And there is one other option that is out there that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are at least offering, and that's deferment. I think they both mutually have put it out there that they can offer up to 2 months deferment, where you have those 2 payments just tacked onto the end of your loan, and so you have 2 months of non-payment.
So it's then added to the principal.
Your term extends by 2 months.
Oh, your term extends for 2, so you just slipped everything and pay a little interest.
Yeah. So if you're struggling and you need some kind of mortgage assistance, reach out to your servicer or your lender, find out what they can offer you in options, and know what impacts it'll have on you, and how you'll have to come current, because it's not forgiveness. You will be required to pay that back at some point. And so just make sure you understand the terms.
Yeah. So I think,
and if we can beg yet again, if you don't have to do this, please don't. I know we've really been trying to drill that in, but it's not free money. So you do have to, like Pam just said, you have to pay it back eventually. So
right. And I think back in our green room, where were we talking about the benefits of having a reverse mortgage? Was that you, Ann, that asked that?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people look at the term reverse mortgage as like taboo, and they've heard so many bad things about it, but it's actually a very, very good vehicle for a lot of people. If you're over the age of 62, it's really something you might want to look into. It's kind of a basic way of saying it is it's a forward and a backwards mortgage. If you make your payments, it's a regular mortgage. If you ever can't make your payments or need money if you have some kind of emergency, you can take money out. It's a great vehicle, and I think a lot of people need to maybe look into that and see if it's something that might work for them.
They would talk to a mortgage broker like Pam.
Yes, Pam does reverse mortgages.
Reverse mortgage. And for our audience, there is a difference between a lender bank and a mortgage broker. And I use the analogy that as real estate agents, we have access to all the houses, right, that are on the market, on the MLS. A mortgage broker has access to all the different loan programs, and while one may not fit for you, this other program might be fit. So they're dealing with the actual banks, or what they call investors. You want to elaborate on that a little more, Pam?
Yeah. Just for example, I have about 10 to 12 lenders that I can go to. I can always bring on more. And so that makes it so I have a variety of different loan products and options, different rates from different lenders. Some lenders that are better about getting, more challenging loans through versus, one path way that like some of the, bigger banks, big name banks that you go into, they're beholden to one process, one loan program for this, and that's it. So it allows me a big flexibility in what I can offer my clients.
Well, sure. And as things start evolving, as we go into post Coronaville, you're going to have, I mean, I'm sure investors are coming up with new things and stuff, and you'll have your thumb on the pulse of the new products that would be available to people.
Sure.
And we don't know what that is, but whatever it is, you'll have that.
Yep.
So, yeah, what else? I have a feeling we always talk about these things before we go on, and then the camera starts, and then everybody's brain dissolves. But I'm thinking did we skip a whole thing?
That's all right.
Not really, no.
Not really. We captured most of it.
We captured most of it.
You get the gist. It's fine.
The only thing, Tony, that I'm seeing that to me sort of rivals 2008 is when they started freezing all the HELOCs.
Oh,
If you have a home equity line of credit, there is the potential that could be frozen, which means you cannot use it.
right.
So if you think you might need it, you might want to draw down on it.
Sure.
Well, you can.
Well, you can. Yeah, and of
Well,
course
you can't, because there might be a point in time that you can't, but
Yeah.
that is just beginning, so we don't know if that's actually going to kind of take hold and do become
Well-
what happened in 2008, which that got kind of ugly.
Yeah, well, and we'll see what happens. I mean, it sounds to me that's sort of like a fear protection. It's like, oh man, we don't want anybody capping out and acing out all their equity. But if these predictions of the surge come true, which is kind of like looking at the inventory levels and hearing how many people are on the sidelines, I totally see that happening. They might, kind of figure out that the risk is lowered, but
Yeah, and back in 2008, they used to go to just about 100% of your home value at a HELOC.
yeah.
Right.
yeah, they're not doing
That's
that.
not happening now.
Yeah.
I know that
So-
they're not issuing them. At least most lenders aren't. I've had a couple of clients that tried to get them,
Yeah.
and even expand on existing HELOCs, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're not doing that.
And-
so I
and-
have a feeling the draws are gonna.
For our
Right.
audience,
Draws would be kind of the next,
Yep.
yes,
Yeah.
next thing to go.
for our
So
audience,
if you have one, you think you might need it, draw it down, take the money. The interest rate isn't very high. It's not going to cost you a ton of money to do that. It just gives you that cushion.
yeah.
It's
And
better
you pay
than
back when this
forbearance.
all clears up.
Well,
It is.
Better than forbearance.
So if you don't know what HELOC means, it stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. What are those? Everybody, you may or may not you guys, but our guys, them out there.
No, very good.
Them in Facebook land. No, that's all good, but that's how you can fund those renovations, update your kitchen, your baths and stuff. A lot of people take out a home equity line of credit to get that stuff done. And some people go on vacation, but
Yeah, let's not do that.
you didn't
Yeah, let's
tell me
not-
that.
Nobody can do that right now, so I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that.
Road trip.
That's not what it's for.
That's not what it's for. Yeah, so you guys have any other thoughts before we go to a few funny things I want to bring up?
I was hoping you'd show the picture of the Jen's tree out front of her house.
Oh, well, you know what? Funny you mentioned that.
That's just a joke, by the way.
Yeah, no, we did run across these landscaping tips that are coming out of the coronavirus, and so Jen, follow me for more landscaping ideas. Let me see if I can make that a little bigger. It's a tree with a nice little thing around there, and so that one was pretty good.
Impressive.
That's just a joke, by the way.
Yeah, no, we did run across. Yeah, well, and not to just pick on Jen, here we go. Week one of virtual showings. By week two, things have changed a little bit with your agent.
That's Tony.
And where did I had the winescaping? I had the wait a minute. And then the one I ran across the other day. If at the end of quarantine you can't stand the people you live with, just remember that I'm in real estate. And so there was one more here. Hang on a second. Where was the?
I think people are
It's the
getting
first
giddy
one.
because we're going to be released soon.
Well,
Yeah,
and everybody, and I don't know about you guys, but I haven't it's kind of like, here's my list of things I'm going to go get on right away. And then I had this thing that was kind of like spring break or summer break going to be over, you know? And oops, sorry guys, I didn't mean to do that. And I was like, oh, it's like going back to school, you know? But there was one thing, and I got to get it in here. You guys all just have to bear with me. And then I had so this I'm gonna drag this guy over like here. Yeah, it was kind of getting to this point around my house. You know, realtor finally loses it and starts showing his wife all of the features around the house, right? So it's probably a good thing that we are getting out, you know. So, but yeah, so it was like, oh man, summer vacation is almost over. But then I was looking back on, it's actually been pretty busy, you know, during this time. But you know,
I just want to say, as we're kind of wrapping up, you know, if you know, we don't want to downplay what some people might be going through. So if you're finding yourself in a position, please reach out to us. We can help you. And then on the flip side, if you're thinking about getting going, then let's talk there too. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the next year as we come out of this.
Right.
So.
Right.
In the meantime, shop local.
Yes.
Support local businesses.
Supporting your small businesses that are, you know, cut to 50%
They're gonna
capacity.
need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
I, for one, vow to stop shopping on Amazon if I can find it locally.
Right. Right. Good point.
Good words to live by, Anne. Seriously.
And take your omega-3s. I've been reading about those and illnesses and immune responses. Take your omega-3s.
Yeah.
That's my professional opinion.
And how about
Ann.
how about you, Pam? You got something to wrap us up with, don't you?
Yeah, for anybody that listens or follows Darren Hardy, or the Darren Daily email he sends out every day, last Friday he sent one that really resonated with me, and it was basically going from something Bill Gates had said, that this time what we should be doing is, you know, I know we're all stuck in our homes, but we should be turning our focus outward and trying to support our community, whether that's shopping locally or reaching out to community, like some business owners that you may know by the phone and just asking them how you can help, or helping your elderly neighbor by grocery shopping for them, doing whatever you can, building those bonds of community and reaching out to others and, you know, just making the world a better place. And I thought that was a great perspective. And one that should be shared more. So awesome.
Absolutely.
All right.
How about you, Tony?
Well, I'm kind of in the same thing. I know that if I'm working towards helping somebody else, you know, I'm not as focused on my own little pathetic problems, you know, and it's sort of it's a weird thing. I don't know what you call it, cosmic, whatever, but there's just something about the way the mindset changes, right? From if I'm here to be of service to another human being, you know, it sort of sets a little ripple effect. But it's really important because it's real easy, especially when we're isolated, to, you know, get into this closed focus stuff, and so for me, and I can't speak to anybody else, but if I'm focusing on things that are closing in on me, it's good, you know, to reach out and then just check with somebody. And sometimes just checking with somebody saying, hey, how you doing, man? You know, I mean, I send cards out. It really changes the way, and it starts opening doors for other good things to happen. So, yeah, I'm kind of in the same, that does resonate with me, you know, and even in we have today, you know, that's what we have. We have today, and that's all that's in front of us. And if I'm worried about too much tomorrow or too much the day before, my day's wrecked, and then I can't. Then I'm unable to say, hey, you know, you need a helping hand, or how you doing today, and stuff like that. So real important. Stay in the day and think of other people. And I think that and it's been actually kind of heartwarming to see just within our own little townhome community here, you know, a lot of that going on, you know, and you know, we can all get an oar and row, you know, so good.
Absolutely.
Very
Well,
good.
thank you.
Well, lots of good stuff coming ahead, so I'm excited.
All right.
Yes, next week's might hopefully will be a little more uplifting.
Yeah.
And as we're getting ready to safer at home
Safer,
and
Yeah.
get us back to work safely and compassionately, and
Good.
get some of us back going.
Yeah.
Good.
It's going to be
Good.
great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's about puts us out of time here. So, if you joined us live, thank you for watching. If we missed your comments, we'll have to reply to them on the Facebook page. Stay tuned or tune in with us next week. I hope to see you then, because we're going to keep this going. And thank you to our all-star panel here, who works extremely hard to bring these things together for you, so we can help at least keep you guys, you know, informed and up to date with what we're seeing. So, so until then, I guess we all say bye for now. So, bye guys, everybody. Yeah.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Take care,
Have a great week.
everyone.
Great and prosperous week. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.